What is up, guys? It's the John Gasm, and I'm coming at you guys today with a brand new cartoon conspiracy theory. This is the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends theory, in case you didn't read the title of the video you're watching. I haven't really seen Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which is another reason why I kind of wanted to not do this theory, but the demand for it was literally on every single video. Even the ones I posted that weren't cartoon conspiracy theories, people were suggesting I do this one. Now, there are two theories to this show. One of them kind of explains the origin of all of the imaginary friends that get created from Mac's perspective. Gives Mac a little more of a backstory. But this is, in my opinion, a little bit more of an interesting theory. I do know, like I said, I haven't seen the show, but I know the basic premise of it. This theory actually revolves a little bit more around Frankie, and that's why I thought it was a little more interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this theory. I took a couple notes on my computer because this theory is unbelievably long. So I summarized it, got the main points out to you, but I will provide a link in the description box below of where you can find this theory if you want to go over all the details. Now, this theory, in case you weren't listening 30 seconds ago, revolves around Frankie. Frankie is the 22-year-old girl that works in the home for Madam Foster. Now, kind of an unfortunate fact about Frankie that doesn't get shared throughout the show is the fact that she actually has autism. Now, before I get really deep into this theory, I want to apologize for any background noise. You know, I live in a dorm. People are walking around all the time, opening, slamming, closing doors, peeing all over the floor. Really weird noises like that. So if you hear anything like that and I don't edit it out, I'm sorry, but I want to get this in as few takes as possible. There, I messed that up already. So like I said, Frankie had autism, and because of her autism, she had an extremely hard time making friends when she was in school because all of the kids in her class thought of her as the weird girl. Her parents, unfortunately, were not much better because of the fact that the one child they had was, in their eyes, imperfect. They did not want anything to do with her, and they abused her regularly. To cope with the fact that she didn't have any friends and also had an abusive family life, she created an imaginary friend named Mikey, who was basically just a giant teddy bear. Her and Mikey were the absolute best friends. She played with him every day at school. He would walk with her to school. He would sit with her in class. He would play with her at recess. She always knew that Mikey would have her back, and that was what kind of got her through all of the troubles that she was going through as a kid. Now, Frankie consistently played with Mikey until she turned 11 years old. And 11 years old is when you start getting into junior high, and people started acknowledging the fact that she was talking to people who weren't actually there. Her teacher started to think of this as kind of a concern and recommended to her parents that they take her to a therapist. Now, Frankie goes to the therapist and gets put in an observation room by herself. Now, normally, this would be very traumatizing for an 11-year-old, and it was very scary for her as well. But because of the fact that she had Mikey around, she was able to cope with it. Frankie's parents and therapists observed her in the observation room talking to Mikey, and because of the fact that she was in fact talking to a figment of her imagination, she was prescribed a medication to cease her hallucinations. Her mother gave her 2 pills of the medication every night, ground up into her chocolate milk that she had with dinner. After some amount of time and the medication regularly flowing through Frankie's system, Mike eventually disappeared. Frankie became really upset about this because the only person who ever actually cared about her was gone. And in addition to this, she still had autism, she still had a personality that kids in her school didn't like. So after Mikey was gone, she still couldn't make any friends. One night, Frankie actually sees her mother grinding up the pills and putting them in her chocolate milk. Out of curiosity, when her mother isn't looking, she sneaks up, reads the label on the bottle, and sees that it says that that it's prescribed for her, and the hallucinations will stop within 2 weeks. Frankie, realizing what all of this means, starts having a panic attack. Then her mother walks in on her with the bottle of pills in her hand. The mother sees her, starts freaking out as well, smacks Frankie across the face, starts beating her, and then Frankie runs away. Frankie runs and she runs and she runs, and she ends up getting lost in this abandoned part of her hometown. She starts wandering around and looking at all of these old abandoned buildings and sees one house that's extremely tall, almost looks like a castle. And it's multicolored, it's crazy looking, and she decides that this is the place that she's going to hide out for a while. After living in the house for a couple days, Frankie started hallucinating again, and she came across an imaginary friend named Blue. Realizing what this meant, that the medication was completely out of her system, she never wanted to go back. So she started creating more imaginary friends. Blue, Coco, Wilt, Eduardo, and she decided to stay in that home that she found. Her original imaginary friend Mikey never came back to her, but she had so many friends to take his place now that she was able to cope with it. So I think that's pretty interesting, the fact that these imaginary friends, everything in the house isn't necessarily Max or any kids around the towns, it's hers. She's the one who created all these characters, and actually she's the one who also imagined Madame Foster and Mac. You see, when Frankie was 7 years old, her mother got pregnant, and the entire family was ecstatic. Her parents were happy, her aunts, uncles were happy. They were all excited about the fact that there was going to be another child in the family that could possibly be normal. Now, unfortunately, the baby boy, whose name was decided to be Mac, died during childbirth when the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. The character Mac in the show is how Frankie imagined him to have been if he had survived childbirth. Now, Madame Foster is actually a memory of Frankie's grandma who died of brain cancer. Frankie's grandmother is the only one in the family who actually ever cared for Frankie and showed her the love that she deserved, but unfortunately she died when Frankie was very little. Being that all of Frankie's memories around her grandmother are positive ones, Madame Foster is a very cute old lady and is a very lovable character. So that's basically the theory. I'm hoping that you guys really liked it. I really liked that theory. Having not seen very many episodes of the show, it didn't have as much significance for me as it may for you, but I hope that any of you guys who did regularly watch the show liked that theory very much. And I hope it wasn't a letdown. If you would like to see the other cartoon conspiracy theory about Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, you can go over to K-Mac's channel and find it on there. Because like I said, there's two theories. He's done one of them that I've seen, and this is the one that I personally found more interesting anyway, so I think we both win. So I want to thank you guys for watching as usual. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below telling me another theory that you think I should do. If you have a situation going on in your life that you need advice on, feel free to send me an email at askthejohngasm@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on my Facebook fan page. Link to that in the description below, along with my Twitter and my Instagram. Feel free to follow both of those too. So one more time, thank you guys for watching. I love you all. Stay beautiful, stay awesome, and stay fresh.